Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Brian Cutting, and I serve as the division president at Woodside Homes and the chair of the North State BIA. And it is an honor to be able to serve with the BIA leadership, in particular for moments like today, where I can connect with members. Granted, today it's virtually, but also we get to learn and keep on top of our industry. Today, we are pleased to present Selling Roseville. Just a quick teaser. So next Thursday, this coming Thursday, we will present industry insights with the chief economist of the National Association of Home Builders, and I encourage you to attend. We expect over 200 of our members in attendance for what will be an insightful and informational program. So if you're looking to get registered, get in touch with Angela. She will get you pointed in the right direction. BIA events are made possible by event sponsors, and you can see on the bottom of your screen here, we have two sponsors for today's event: Ramirez & Company, a nationwide full-service investment firm, and the largest builder in Sacramento, Lennar. Thank you to both Ramirez & Company and Lennar for your support today. We have a great speaker for you today to share all about Roseville and all that is going on within the city. Bruce Houdesheldt was selected as mayor of Roseville last December after 2 years as the city's vice mayor following his election to the city council in 2020. Bruce moved to Placer County in 1991 and began his volunteer service with the city as a public utilities commissioner. He later served as a planning commissioner and on the Community Priorities Advisory Committee, say that 5 times fast, before being appointed to the city council in February of 2019 to fill the remainder of a vacancy. Bruce has more than 25 years of experience representing small businesses and national companies on public policy and regulatory issues, both in his native Maryland and in California, where he was previously an advocate for the North State Building Industry Association. He still refers to this as his favorite job he ever had. We're pretty sure. We're not biased. So today, Bruce serves as the Director of Water Quality for the Northern California Water Association, where he manages the largest nonprofit agricultural water quality coalition in California, representing Sacramento Valley family farmers to ensure compliance with waste discharge requirements until they sell their land to home builders. That's perfect. I also have under good authority that Bruce is somewhat of a music junkie. So don't be surprised if he weaves some less than subtle rock and roll references into his presentation. He's a high energy dude, so buckle your seatbelts and hang on to something. Mayor Bruce, welcome and thank you for your time this morning. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for your leadership and thank you to the sponsors. As a recovering North State Building Industry Association government affairs builder representative, I know the importance of the sponsorships, and so thank you. Thanks to our sponsors. Happened to work for one of our sponsors from 2004 till the fiscal cliff of 2008. So know well the ethic and the culture of Lennar Communities, and thank them for their sponsorship. And looking at the list of participants today, I saw a lot of familiar names. So thank you all for being here today and allowing me to not sell you on Roseville, because you've already been sold on Roseville, but really kind of talk about what Roseville, what this community is, and why it's such an attractive place for people to locate. I have 47 slides, but don't worry, I'll go fast. Some of them are required by my governmental sponsor, the city of Roseville. Others are just, me riffing off of a variety of things. It's purposeful that I titled this slide "At the Junction of Commerce." Here is the early days of Roseville, and the Central California and the Central Pacific came together at a place called Grider Ranch, just sort of toward Folsom, and that became the first name, either Grider for the ranch or Junction. Well before, so almost 170 years ago, the first pioneer families came to this area and began to exchange in the commerce with the stagecoach and then eventually the railroad. Roseville became a charter city in 1909. Around the same time, the Roseville Water was formed, Roseville Electric was formed. So we have utilities that are city-owned, which make us unique. We are a charter city with a city manager form of government. In 2020, we elected members from districts, although we represent all. And one of the things I think is distinguishes Roseville is its political stability. Certainly has been a benefit. I first came to this area in 1985 and then eventually transferred here when Bob Shattuck with the Building Industry Association of Superior, California, now North State, brought me west. And we have a long-term vision with the city of Roseville, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I do want to talk about our mission statement because I think it is at the core and the heart of what we all do at the city. And you can see it here. It's to provide exceptional services in a fiscally responsible manner that enhances quality of life, not just today, but into the future. This is one of my favorite pictures. As Brian mentioned, I work for Northern California Water Association. And in October of 2022, we were preparing for the 4th year of drought. Now, after what I think are 13 atmospheric rivers, it's safe to say the drought is dead, but we're just one dry winter away from being back in it. But what you see here is in January, Roseville Electric utility workers keeping the lights on in Roseville in really historic fashion. We as a council get together annually to discuss our goals and priorities. And here you see our 6 goals: remain fiscally responsible in a changing world, support community engagement and advocacy, maintain a safe and healthy community, enhance economic vitality, deliver exceptional city services, and invest in well-planned infrastructure and growth. And I'll go, as I go through the slides, you'll see some of that highlighted. Again, here's just those priorities with a nice shot of our Vernon Town Square. Still trying to figure out who Vernon Street was named after. I've been searching the archives and I can't get it, so I find it, but I think it might be, as a lot of things with a railroad are, it might be related to a railroad superintendent. I do want to talk about one of the priorities that stand out, and that is to maintain a safe and healthy community. As you may be aware, yesterday we had a rare occurrence, a very rare occurrence in the city of Roseville. But not only Roseville PD, Roseville Fire, ambulance, our Parks and Rec and library, and everyone responded. There was a regional response to the situation at Mahaney Park. And while it was rare, it's not uncommon for our folks to be prepared and to rapidly de-escalate the situation. So, our community is strong. It is a community of caring, and we yesterday showed our best and showed our strength. So I'll just touch on that. As I mentioned, remaining fiscally responsible in a changing world is important. This past year, we passed Measure C by 72%. That is the hotel room occupancy tax. It hadn't been increased from 6% since in 48 years. That means that takes a little of the pressure off of the usual suspects for paying for growth and development. The usual suspects being the home builders that you represent. Utility rates are one of our strongest advantages. They remain competitive and ensure reliability. And while we've had increases, whether it's in water, wastewater, solid waste, or our electric, they still, compared to surrounding jurisdictions, because we own our own utility, give us a competitive advantage. And we've had, through this process, been able to increase our investment in capital improvement for our city-owned assets. Economic vitality is certainly, I think, what you all hear from your clients who walk through the doors of your new home projects, or those who you're taking around and showcasing the city of Roseville. But this year, we're putting together through the Chamber and City Partnership a talent pipeline management. The Venture Lab opened last year. It's an incubator right there on Vernon Street. We've done corridor planning for our, what I call our legacy corridors of Atlantic, Sunrise and Douglas, Sunrise and Harding. And then we're moving forward. There should be a groundbreaking this year on our sports complex. That's the 10 long fields in West Roseville. It's pretty exciting. I haven't gotten the date, but I've gotten the shovel and we're ready to go. The long-awaited baseline marketplace. You'll see a little bit later in the presentation that finally, we're going to go vertical. One of the projects I worked on when I was at Lennar was Placer Vineyards, and Placer Vineyards is an overnight success, 40 years in the making. So things take, as you know from talking to the home building side and community development side, things do take a while. We finished economic development strategy last year. That'll carry us through for the next 5 years. So, okay, here's the regular. My government sponsor requires me to show you this information, so it's just a comparison. We're growing by every house that you sell every day. So while we're currently at current population 154,635, I think that needs to kind of move like the atomic clock, because I think every day we get closer to 160,000. We're the largest jurisdiction in Placer County. And a fun note, the counties of Sutter, Colusa, and Glenn County, or Sutter, Yuba, and Glenn and Colusa, together have a combined population of 150,000. So the city of Roseville is larger than 3 counties immediately north. I know Plymouth Lakes, there's growth and development happening there, so that population's coming along. But I think this is vital information that on median household income and sales prices and the demographics. So there's the government required demographics. We rank fairly high in community surveys, and I'll just go to that. 7th in the U.S. in the happiest residents, according to Smart Asset 2022. One of the best places to live in the U.S. by Money Magazine. 27th most livable mid-sized city. Is not on here. Recently, somebody pointed out to me that we are also one of the most faithful cities in the United States. I think we rank number 3. But anyway, a lot of great things, and this quality of life comes about as a result of a lot of careful planning and development and thoughtful caretaking of that by both the business community and local government. Unemployment at 3.6%, not surprisingly, among the lowest in California. 2022, more than 100,000 jobs. Some of these employers you'll be well aware of. A lot of healthcare. We just broke ground on a new Kaiser Tower. When my son was born in 2000, I had to drive to South Sacramento, and fortunately, he and his mother, I can take no credit for it, timed his birth at early in the morning, so we didn't have the challenge of Highway 99 traffic. Here you see the Advantage Health Tower, but the new Kaiser Tower is going to be taller than this building. So we're beginning to look like a modern American city here in Roseville with the heights of our building. The other employer, City of Roseville Joint Union High School, Pride Industries, the City School District, Sutter Health, and then Top Golf. New and expanding businesses are Penumbra, McKennison, Restaurant Depot and Amazon, all on Foothills Boulevard between Pleasant Grove and Blue Oaks. Business activity. McCooney has relocated to the McCormick and Smith site. The Galleria has, I forget how they brand that, but Gucci, Saint Laurent, those upscale retailers, Peloton, Round One, the movie and theater, and then Capital One Cafe. We'll be doing the State of the City that the mayor does every year in the Galleria this year. Some of the other business activities, certainly on the west side, are the whole village of West Park with Mojo's, Kitchen 747, fitness center, restaurants. Goldfields is open. There was a long line outside yesterday. I believe your CEO for the BIA, I think I saw him in line, but I know he's a big music guy. So he's probably been to Goldfields for the yachty, what's that called? Yacht Club, Yacht Rock. And then as you can see low at the bottom, I'm super excited about this. So Roseville Junction, which is not on Junction Boulevard, but is near the Galleria, will be the destination of Electric Pickle. Still don't know what that is. An indoor and outdoor restaurant, a lawn for live music, and my excitement is about field work brewing and other entertainment. So near Villa Sports, at the end of the cul-de-sac there is where this will be located. All right, let's talk about the future. Construction's, on long vacant land. I mean, the part of why Roseville is who it is because for the past 35 years, it has used a specific plan process. I remember the first specific plan, Johnson Ranch, and former Mayor Susan Rohan, who worked for Nolte at the time I came to California. I remember that coming together south of Douglas Boulevard and Roseville Parkway. But as over the years, there have been other specific plans, and that lays out where municipal services, utilities, traffic, parks, hospitals, schools, various things all come together. Here, is just a few of the specific plans, more current specific plans. Campus Oaks, Amaruso Ranch, Creekview, the Sierra Vista specific plan, Campus Oaks. We'll go into a little more detail about that. Here's the Winding Creek Fitterment Ranch, Phase 3, Amaruso. And no, nobody died, but that RIP is the Roseville Industrial Park, which is at the end of Blue Oaks near Winding Creek and is going through the environmental review process right now. These subdivisions, there have been 705 permits issued in the third quarter of the fiscal year. Annually projected, there'll be 584 million in construction valuation the last fiscal year, up from 515. So just some pretty pictures, but I think, this is the Campus Oaks area. My son works at the Nugget there. I think the sign's going up on the 24-hour fitness. This is a really, a really exciting development that's coming to maturity. It's the old, the remainder piece of the HP campus. Interesting footnote, HP first came to Roseville in 1985. And if you've ever seen a historic picture or a picture of that campus, it looks like it's in the middle of Kansas. It is just, it's in the middle of nowhere. 1985, right? Right before Loma Prieta earthquake. Across the street from here also is some development that is a new Dutch Brothers and I think a new Chick-fil-A that'll be developed around the CVS pharmacy. Here's Rayleigh's One. For a long time, everybody who lived west of Fitterment, almost west of Wood Creek Oaks, was really starving for shopping, and so they would travel down Blue Oaks, down Roseville Parkway to get to the east side of town for the Lowe's and Home Depot and food for less and other, other shopping. But now Raley's One is up, and that center is filling, the plaza at Blue Oaks is filling in with these various stores that you see. I mentioned the Roseville Industrial Park. It is the draft environmental impact report is out. Comment period ends April 21st. Next Tuesday, April 12th. Is that a Tuesday? April 12th, there will be a community forum at St. John's Episcopal Church. It'll be, I'm not sure if there'll be as many parishioners in the church on Easter as there are on April 12th. So, but that's an important and a highly discussed project right now. Just some interesting other projects. For a long time, Safeway held the piece of ground at Pleasant Grove and Fitterman, and they didn't build on it because the Safeway at Crocker Ranch was one of their highest producing stores. When Campus Oaks began to build, and when the second Nugget came in, it certainly, and then with Bel Air, the plaza at Blue Oaks, it prompted Safeway to begin to move on that site, and so that's underway. Across Fitterman, it's not shown on this site, is another retail complex on the south side of Pleasant Grove. That would be the southwest corner. There's a coffee store there. Then you see grocery outlet, which would be behind the current. I think that's a CVS there. And then we'll talk about Costco here in a minute, and then Erickson Senior Living on Pleasant Grove. Here's a Safeway. Here's the renderings of the Safeway that will be going in. And then Eric's Senior Living. This is a new concept, and as you can see from the photo in the bottom left, it is a very dense site and has high rise, 5 stories included there. But it's a self-contained. It has its own congregate care in there. It has assisted living. So think of all the things that Del Webb has in its community built into this higher density project. And Erickson is from the East Coast, from Baltimore, and they've done these projects all throughout the United States. But it's an exciting project that will be coming, in the next 18 months or so. And here's the golden ticket, a long anticipated baseline marketplace, the site of Costco, which will begin really in earnest this May, and we'll bring many gas pumps there and all the you can see in the lower right the Costco fuel parcel. But this has been a long anticipated project, and it will certainly activate the entire baseline marketplace site. So just here's some important statistics. Baseline marketplace, 744,000 square feet, 3 large big box, 24 smaller retail. There'll be a car wash. Woo! Plaza Blue Oaks and there's going to be extra credit for anybody who knows what the acronym ONE stands for. But we saw what is going on, and then the Campus Oaks with Ace Hardware, 24-hour, the proposed Roseville Industrial Park, and I mentioned Roseville Junction earlier. So how do you get to all these places? How do folks navigate the city and get to your new home models and things like that? Well, we've got a lot of roadways that are under construction. I mentioned, the widening of Baseline. Supervisor Bonnie Gore and the city of Roseville and Sutter County are working on the widening and traffic signals related to that. We're working on the Roseville Parkway, which is shown in this picture. So let me orient you. At the bottom, you can see foothills. At the very bottom, you are looking from the HP campus, Kokiva. And so that's Roseville Parkway right there. It will go over the railroad tracks, kind of wind between those two buildings. And at the very top, I don't know if my cursor will show, but yeah, it'll go right past Bruce's house right there. So that's a project that will, close this gap, provide easier access to our area hospitals currently. I hear the ambulance come up Roseville Parkway, make a right on Washington, and then so they can get to Blue Oaks. Pleasant Grove widening between Foothills and Wood Creek is, we got a call from Congressman Kiley yesterday saying he was going to advance a congressionally directed spending request for that widening between Foothills and Wood Creek. Roseville Parkway widening between Gallery and Gibson. You can see these projects, and the city has incredible websites that I encourage you to access. Here's something that I, just absorb it, but this is all of our major roadway improvements that are underway. A key one is, if you can see on the edge of the city here, the West Park connection, which really is important connection to get down to Baseline. I mean, I can see Santucci Boulevard, but I can't get up there from there. Another part of the thing that makes Roseville so appealing is our trail system. And here you can see some of the trails that are very much used and utilized. And we're connecting our trails to the Dry Creeks trail system, which will eventually connect to the American Parkway trail system. And again, there's a website at the bottom, and I encourage you to look at our trail system or share that with your prospective home buyers. Here's just some more statistics about our trail system, but you can pretty much get to any one of our parks or trails within easy walking distance of homes. Now, here's what I call the overnight success, a quarter century in the making, and probably for me, one of the most exciting parts of Roseville. We built a new bridge in downtown. Here's the former Ice House Bridge. Some of you may know that Roseville had a working ice house for the railroad until the late 70s, early 70s. What that did was they would pack ice onto the train so that when the orchards of Newcastle and Penryn and the foothills were transporting their produce east, it stayed fresh. So, but there's been a lot of vision around our downtown. There's a downtown specific plan, which was adopted, I believe, in 2002, but it's coming to fruition. And, I mentioned, I showed you the picture of the railroad. Well, the city was built around Dry Creek. The original city was platted around Dry Creek. Last Sunday, I had an opportunity to go to the 140th celebration for the First United Methodist Church, which was the first church in Roseville in 1882, 83, and was actually at the center of Roseville it wasn't Roseville, it was Junction at the current time. But the city grew up around the Dry Creek area. So, we've done quarter planning. You can see the corridors that we've finished planning on, and we'll begin to see some activation and some housing that will be coming forward. But I love infographics. So here's some downtown by the numbers. There's 13 restaurants, 2 coffee shops, 125 events, 10 murals, 5 live music venues. Some of those happen in the coffee shops. Blue Line Art Gallery, 2 theaters, direct access to the trails. I mean, you can take the trail in downtown and go all the way to Sierra College Boulevard, through Miners Ravine and Secret Ravine, and get out that way. There's transit stops. It is an exciting, what's not on here is there's only one speakeasy in downtown. There's 2 speakeasies when you include historic Old Town Roseville. Here's some of the exciting projects that are coming. This is 129 Vernon Street. This is on the corner of Vernon, and this is the this is near Fire Station, the new Fire Station 1. So right down the street, if you go down Vernon Street, you'll get to Randy Peters Catering. At the bottom of the picture is the former Roseville Telephone Consolidated Communication. And what you, this is an old picture, but at the bottom right, Mike Spikes has just opened at their new location there on Vernon Street, and it's access from both Vernon and around the corner. This is directly diagonal. So Tower Investments is working on this project to Lincoln and Vernon, and it will, it'll be not only, there'll be some restaurant. There's actually, if you go down Vernon Street and look up, you'll see the lights at the top. They had hoped to actually have a rooftop venue open earlier than others, but they have to wait for the rest of it. But there'll be housing and restaurant. Somebody wants to put a distillery in there, so it's exciting. Here's the courthouse, and Bridge Housing is working on an affordable housing project there. This is Junction Crossing, and if you've been on Washington Boulevard right before you, either way, after you come out of the railroad tracks or before you go down, you'll see the construction is really coming together well. This was approved when I was still on the Planning Commission in 2017, and no project in under development escapes lawsuits. And when this went through its sequel lawsuits, and it's good to see it going vertical. Another thing that attractive to Roseville is our school districts. Our K through 8, Eureka Unified, Dry Creek, and Roseville Junction. You can find a lot about the city through our website, and I would encourage you to utilize this. And I think there's something called development. Oh, there it is, Development Decoded. So you can flash your cameras at our QR code, and we'll go and let me go back. And you can find out more about what I've been touching on today. And then I think we're going to other ways to connect with the city of Roseville. And I am done. 9:36. Oh, man. That worked. Do we have any questions?
We have one question so far, Bruce, and before I get to it, if anyone has any additional questions, the Q&A function is actually probably the best place to put them. So I'll give everyone a minute. The question we have received so far is if you could elaborate a little bit more on the industrial development in West Park. I think they're referring to the Roseville industrial project you touched on. Sure.
I think the thing that I can say is that it is at the draft environmental impact review stage. Comments are coming in. There's an organized community response to it. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of comments on it. The city entered into an exclusive right to negotiate with Panattoni. Panattoni is might be an internationally recognized developer of projects. They developed some of the projects on foothills that I mentioned earlier, the Amazon, the Restaurant Depot, and they've developed, throughout the West Coast and Seattle and other areas. But they, over a long period of time, it's about a 200-acre site, but they're just right now processing their first entitlements. And April 12th, they'll be talking about what they envision for the site. As I mentioned earlier, with Placer Vineyards, these things take a while to develop. So while the first site will be coming together, this growth and development will occur over several decades.
Thank you. We've got a few more rolling in, so hopefully they'll continue. The next one is asking if you were aware of any plans for that site next to the fountains. I think it might be Fountains Phase 2 that they're asking about.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'll get back. I mean, yeah, it's only, you know, a small part of it is developable because there's, you know, there's developed wetlands back in that area. So no, but you know, across from that site, let me make sure I'm visually connecting. We do have a park site on Gibson Drive that is going in, the courts at Gibson Park, which is, yeah, it's not adjacent to the fountains, but it is adjacent. It's where during the holiday season, Galleria runs a shuttle from there, but it will be developing a park there. So
Very cool. Next
pickleball
question.
courts. Pickleball. Somebody tell me how they came up with the name pickleball.
I don't know. It's fun to play. A lot of people like it, but I don't know where that name.
Fastest growing sport anywhere until it's not. So.
And the city is building courts, and then you also mentioned that electric pickle, and that's also pickleball.
Yeah, that's at the end of Conference Center Drive there, right by Villa Sports, right? So, yeah. And then, you know, and we got a lot of hatchet throwing going on in the city. Some of it at city council members, but no, just there we go. I'm riffing. Next question.
Next question, will Highway 65 be expanded to and from Lincoln? Lincoln also has a lot of new rooftops coming. And as you mentioned, Roseville is not only growing on the residential side, but you've got a lot of jobs already and more coming.
Yeah, thanks. That's an important question, right? And I didn't really cover that, but each of us on the council sit on various regional boards and commissions. I sit on the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, which has for years been working working to put a sales measure on the ballot to fund further expansion, because I know for my commute coming home, I make the choice between getting off at Riverside and weaving through the surface streets of Roseville, or running the gauntlet that is the Highway 6580 interchange. And increasingly, even though there's been that first phase widening, increasingly the backup is, you know, from Blue Oaks all the way back to Galleria Boulevard. So we are working on community outreach related to that. Our new executive officer, Matt Click, is out in the community quite often. And so we're working to fund that. I think the first phase of what is called the Placer Parkway has funding. So that would be where there's a partial interchange on Highway 65 that'll take you into Rockland. And then there'll be a section that will go from there past the storage, across the railroad tracks, and connect into or go past Foothills, the North Foothills Boulevard there. You know, there's significant development related to Sac State, the Placer One Center, and Taylor Builders, just north of the city. It's not in the city, although it shares the same zip code. And so Placer Parkway and the funding of that will, the right of way goes through that, goes by Amoruso Ranch, goes by the Roseville Industrial Park, and then goes to Sutter County. So that's an important thing, and anticipated that in 2024, the voters in Lincoln, Rockland, Roseville, and Placer County will have a say in getting the $1 billion that's needed, that remains to need to be funded for that, because developers are paying their fair share. That's for sure.
Bruce, I know it's not within the city, but do you want to touch maybe a little bit more, because I think it'll be used by a lot of the city, that there are some higher education facilities coming to the vicinity of Roseville. Do you want to touch a little bit more about that?
Yeah, last October at the end of Wood Creek Oaks Boulevard, Sierra College and Sac State did a groundbreaking for their Placer One Center. I think I saw that their mascot's going to be the yellow jacket, not the yellow jacket. But anyway, it's going to be some variation of a bee, but that's going to be an incredible innovation center. It will also provide training for fire, because of its proximity to the landfill. There'll be all sorts of things that are related to waste management that are done there. It's going to be an exciting project, and it will, it's already, Taylor Builders is doing their part in grading. Mother Nature, in her unusual year, has really created some slowdown on that, but I'm sure that next year will be more normal, and the housing development will come along. But then there'll be the first phase of the campus, which will be exciting. And I don't have all the facts and figures related to that, but it will also, it will relieve some of the traffic congestion that continues down 65, and for those who are going to go into the Sac State campus. I'll leave it there.
No, thank you. That was tremendous. Another question. Is there a contingency plan to protect our water if catastrophic happens? I know, despite the, as you mentioned, recent atmospheric rivers, people are often concerned about drought, and there's a lot of building happening, and we like to see that, but are there plans in case things get worse?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the city has a diversified portfolio. As you know, our main source of water is from Folsom through the American River. Because of what has happened this year, well, and it actually happened in 2019, but it's happening more robustly. We're actually able to take water. Folsom's operated for storage facility, and we've been able to actually take water and put it into our aquifer storage and recovery system that we have throughout the city. We're adding 2 new wells to that system. That's one source. There's a lot of reclaimed, recycled water on the west side, so we're using that. Conservation is an important aspect to it. So we have a Cash for Grass program. But we've all been, our electric utilities department has been working for those of you who have been around long enough to remember 2015, when you could walk on the bottom of Folsom Lake and on Martin Luther King birthday. We've been working in anticipation for a day in which, Folsom is not available. And that includes additional projects with Placer County Water Agency off of their Middle Fork project. And another important thing that we're my day job, we're super excited about is Sites Reservoir, which is, if folks know where Williams is, just west of Williams, west of Maxwell. On a clear day, you can see the Snow Mountain, but that reservoir is called an off-stream reservoir. So the water that falls below the rim dams of Shasta, Oroville, and Orville will be collected and sent up into storage there at Sites Reservoir, which is halfway between Shasta and the Delta, which is always an important thing. You don't just make water, you just don't grab water. You need to protect temperature in the rivers and creek systems for fish, and you need to protect the ecosystem. So it's a diversified portfolio of water that we have.
Absolutely. One more, that's a question. I think it's Tamara Brown points out that pickleball was named by a family who was playing in their backyard, and the dog would chase the ball and get stuff in a pickle. So that's how that got its name. It says, thank you. He's a pickleball player son. So he says, thank you for bringing it to Roseville. Also points out that the 1 in Roseville 1 stands for Organic Nutrition Education, according to one of the clerks at the store. And if he can answer how Vernon Street got his name, I'll be really impressed.
Yeah, no. that is the correct answer to one. So.
So one other question I've got, you mentioned kind of the work you're doing with Placer County on the water. You mentioned earlier with public safety response. There seems to be a real good working relationship with kind of the South Placer community. What do you attribute that that relationship with your sister cities in South Placer to? Because it's not common, in the state or even really in our region.
Yeah, a couple of things, and thanks, Jeff, because yesterday's tragic event at Mahaney Park was a mutual aid. So there was at one point in time in which Rockland Fire was staffing Fire Station 7, which is near me on Pleasant Grove at Highway 65. So there was a lot of mutual aid, with Rockland and Lincoln that was occurring. I think, some of that I'm going to attribute to the economics of HP. So when HP came and sited here in Roseville, there were a lot of allied or vendors that supplied HP that would come from places like Lincoln, which has an airport. Roseville doesn't have an airport. And I think that, I think a lot of that collaboration comes from families. It's been really enlightening to me to see how many multi-generational families there are in the city of Roseville, 3 and 4 generations that just serve on our nonprofits, right? But serve the community with the community in mind. And, I think the other thing is, and I joke, I joke with our colleagues over in Rockland, that, I think it was in 1906 was the big move. So the Roundhouse used to be in Rockland until we borrowed it, or we relocated it to, the rail yards in Roseville. So, there's a lot of
the railroad roundhouse.
What's that?
That's the railroad roundhouse.
The railroad roundhouse. Thank you. Not the Roundhouse Deli. I don't know the history of that, but I do enjoy their tri-tip tacos.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's just a lot of families that founded this area, and I think that ethic weaves through it, and yeah. So I think and the chambers work together really well. So I think that for me, that's what I see as why we have this Placer regional camaraderie. And I sent text messages to the mayors in Rockland and Lincoln last night, asking them to thank their teams for their response yesterday.
Absolutely. Bruce, I think you've successfully fielded every question we've brought from our team. Certainly, if you have anything else you'd like to share with us, otherwise I'll turn it back over to our chairman, Mr. Cudden.
Yeah, I mean, I would just, again, I've said it throughout, and our economic development department is incredible. We have a robust city website. Please encourage, and I know, the job of the folks that staff new home sales is very robust. But I also encourage you to take advantage of the resources that the city of Roseville's economic development department or our development services are building have put in place to help spread the word about who the city of Roseville is. It goes to our Parks and Rec. And you saw, you just share YouTube videos, right? About what, last year our Parks and Rec was nominated for an award, a national award, because we have such a tremendous community. And, I hope that sounds like a humble brag, but I'm awful prideful of that. So just share those resources with your potential clients and with your colleagues, because it does tell the story. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Mayor Bruce, thank you. I guess I am having tri-tip tacos at the Roundhouse Cafe at lunch today because That sounds fantastic. But thank you, Mayor. And it has been a fantastic session. We have learned a tremendous amount about Roseville. And I want to thank you also for the leadership that you and your staff have in Roseville. Just yesterday, we were in a staff meeting and going through different projects. We have a new project coming to Roseville, and we're trying to figure out plan check and all the things that you have to do to get to an open community. And the one thing that my staff continued to say again and again was, don't worry, it's Roseville. They're great to work with. And I said, yep, I know. We'll get through that. We'll get through the process without any pain. So grateful for a fantastic city. Grateful for you to be with us. Grateful for our sponsors one more time, Lennar Communities and Ramirez and Company. So please check them out. And thank you. We will see you all on Thursday.